Hello, and welcome to our series of video clips on Sacred Heart Parish and the Congregation of Holy Cross. I'm Father Randy Rentner, and some of you may have heard that Sacred Heart Parish is sponsored by Holy Cross, the priest of Brothers of Holy Cross. But if you're not quite sure what this means, well, that's what this video series is all about. And I hope if you watch these, you'll have a better understanding of what it means to say that Sacred Heart is a Holy Cross parish. But first, we need to talk about holy orders. And parishioners often ask, well, what's the difference between a novice and a brother and a seminarian? What's a novitiate? So we need to agree on terms and what they mean. But we'll be getting to those in a later video. But right now, we need to start with bishops, priests, and deacons. So these are the three orders of the church: bishop, priest, and deacons. The bishop is a direct line from the 12 disciples of Christ. When Christ commissioned the disciples to go out to all the world, each disciple, each apostle went to a different area and became the bishop of that church in whatever area he went to. The word bishop derives from the Greek word episkopos, which means overseer, and you see the origin there. A bishop is, if he's an ordinary, he's responsible for the administration and oversight of the diocese of which he's the bishop. A bishop has the fullness of ordination. That is to say, a bishop can administer all 7 of the sacraments. Only bishops can ordain other bishops, priests, and deacons. A priest can't do that. Bishops can confirm as well, but sometimes, especially through the RCIA, the Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults, bishops can allow local pastors to do confirmation for those people coming into the church. But if a child grows up as a Catholic and goes through faith formation courses and is ready for confirmation, then the bishop will come to that parish, or maybe the kids will go to the cathedral, and the bishop will do the confirmation. So the bishop, as the ordinary, is the one who does all the 7 sacraments and is responsible for the sacramental life of the church in the diocese of which he's the overseer. A priest was originally ordained to simply assist the bishop in leading the church in prayer. The original word, presbyter, meant elder. And the priest is ordained by the bishop and has the faculties to administer certain sacraments: baptism, the Eucharist, reconciliation or confession, marriage, anointing of the sick, and confirmation when the bishop approves, when it's connected with the RCIA program. As I said before, priests cannot ordain other priests or bishops or deacons. So the priests basically are an extension of the bishop's ministry within a diocese. The deacon is a role that was meant to be someone who cared for the sick and the poor. Now, there are 2 types of deacon. There are permanent deacons, married men who become deacons after study and preparation. And then there are transitional deacons. So I was a transitional deacon. Every priest that you know was a transitional deacon at one point. You're ordained a deacon before you're ordained a priest, just as you're ordained a priest before you become a bishop. We don't have any deacons at Sacred Heart Parish, but you may know of other parishes in the diocese that have permanent deacons. And transitional deacons, you might have heard about some in Colorado Springs, and then, of course, in other Holy Cross parishes, a seminarian who is ordained a deacon might spend 9 months to a year in a parish as a transitional deacon before he is ordained. Deacons can baptize, they can witness and perform marriages, they can assist at the Eucharist, that is to say, they help out at the altar, but they cannot preside. They can preach, they can proclaim the gospel, which are normally a bishop or a priest roles, but the deacon's sacramental roles are relegated to baptism and marriage. The vestments that a priest and a deacon wear are different. Here, and it doesn't matter what the colors are, these happen to be white, which would be the season of Christmas or Easter or special holidays. If they were green, it would be ordinary time. If they were red, they would be for Martyrs' Days or Feast of Pentecost. And of course, if they were violet, they would be for Advent or Lent. These happen to be white. But the difference is whether or not they have sleeves. So the chasuble, as you can see, is a full vestment with a stole that goes over both shoulders. And the deacon's dalmatic has short sleeves and a stole that goes over only one shoulder. So that's how you can tell a deacon and a priest apart in a liturgical setting. For a bishop, you can always tell them apart at a liturgical event because the bishop will have a mitre, the hat, and a crozier, the cane. And these are both symbols of their authority. And you notice that a crozier looks like a shepherd's staff because the bishop is the shepherd of his people in the diocese. So what's an archbishop then? Well, I've got a couple maps I've stolen from the internet here. The first map shows you, is very colorful, shows you all the dioceses within the United States. And you can see Colorado there, with Colorado Springs being that dark blue horizontal bar through half the state. That's our diocese. And each bishop is in charge of a diocese. So for every diocese you see, there's an ordinary, a bishop in charge of that diocese. But each bishop works together with other local bishops under the leadership of an archbishop. And the archbishop is bishop not only of his diocese, or technically archdiocese, but he is also the head of that group of dioceses, which we call an ecclesiastical province or a metropolitan. And so in the second map, you can see that our metropolitan area contains both Colorado and Wyoming together. This map shows the dioceses that are connected to the Archdiocese of Denver as one metropolitan, one ecclesiastical province. And you can see the whole state of Wyoming is the Diocese of Cheyenne. The northern part of Colorado is Denver, the Archdiocese of Denver. The southern part of Colorado is the Diocese of Pueblo. And in this map, we're the green bar, the section that is the Diocese of Colorado Springs. So our bishop, together with the Bishop of Pueblo and the Bishop of Cheyenne, are all connected to the Archbishop of Denver. So what about a pope then? Well, a pope is not an ordained role. So remember, there's only deacons, priests, and bishops. And the pope is the title we give to the Bishop of Rome. As the successor of Peter, whose ministry was in Rome, the Bishop of Rome is the head of the entire Roman Catholic Church. And so we call him the Pope, which really comes from the word father. And a cardinal is also not an ordained role, but it's an honorific office, and the person is chosen by the Pope. Historically, it could be given to a bishop, a priest, a deacon, or a lay person. But currently, it's only archbishops who are selected, although I guess technically someone could be made an archbishop to become a cardinal. But their main responsibility is to advise the Pope to work at the Curia, the offices in Rome or in the Vatican for the Pope. And their most important role, of course, is to choose the new Pope. So here we have cardinal, pope, and bishop. So if they're not in their liturgical garb, that is to say, if they're not wearing a mitre and a chasuble, you might see them in an official function dressed in their appropriate wear. So the first one there is the cardinal, and there he's wearing cardinal red. The one on the far right is a bishop, and the color that's the color the bishops will wear. So our local bishop would be dressed like that in an official form. And then, of course, the Pope generally wears white, and he's in the center. Other terms that are related to bishops. A cathedral is the home church of a diocese. So in Greek, cathedra means seat or chair. And so the cathedral is the place where the church is centered or seated. And the diocese every diocese has one cathedral church. The ordinary, we talked about what that means. The ordinary bishop of a diocese is also called the see, or the diocese itself could be the see. And that comes from the Latin word for chair, meaning that was sedes. The Pope is often called the Holy See, and you'll often hear that term, which means he's the seat of the Roman Catholic Church throughout the world. Then we also have auxiliary bishops and coadjutor bishops. An auxiliary bishop is a full bishop. He's ordained as a bishop, and he can do all of the sacraments, but he assists within a diocese. And the larger the diocese, the more auxiliary bishops you're going to have. And he's not the ordinary, that is to say, he's not the one in charge of the diocese, but he can assist the bishop in any way as an auxiliary bishop. A coadjutor bishop is also a full bishop, and he assists the ordinary just as an auxiliary bishop does. But a coadjutor bishop is named as basically the next person in line. He has right of succession when a see is vacated. So typically that's for maybe a mid-sized diocese. A bishop will have a coadjutor bishop who is basically going to take over when the bishop retires or is deceased. So those are the different types of bishops. Other titles that you might want to hear about: a nuncio. The papal nuncio to the United States is an ambassador from the Vatican who represents the Pope to all of the bishops in the United States. A prelate is the name of basically the title of the leadership of a bishop over a certain area. And it might be geographical, it might be an organization within the church, but a prelate means he's in charge of that area. A monsignor. We have a couple of monsignors in this diocese. It's an honorific title given by a bishop to a priest of some significance. Maybe he's an elderly priest, or maybe he's just very important, a leader among the priests. And it is not an order. He's not ordained as a monsignor, but it's an honorary title given to a priest of some significance by the bishop. The term pastor means that person is the ecclesiological leader of a certain parish community. So in our church, Father Ron is the pastor. A vicar is his associate. So I am the associate pastor. So I am the vicar of Sacred Heart Parish. And then the word chaplain simply refers to a role that a priest has in relationship to whatever community among whom he serves as a sacramental leader. So you can be a chaplain to the Knights of Columbus. You can be a chaplain to, I was a chaplain to the high school that I was at last time. It's just the role the priest has in relationship to a community that's not a parish. So that's our run through of the three orders: deacon, priest, and bishop within the Catholic Church. In our next video, we're going to talk about religious life and what that means and how that differs from ordination. So I hope you've enjoyed this first video, and I hope you enjoy listening to other videos to come.